Welcome to Dogwit Training's presentation on Leash Reactivity. I'm Dre Baker, Certified Behavior Consultant, Leash Reactivity Specialist, and owner of Dogwit Training. All of our focus at Dogwit is on two specialty areas of canine behavior: separation anxiety and leash reactivity. Working with these select behaviors only, I'm able to put all of my time and focus into continuing to research and adapt the programs for these areas, ensuring that our students have access to the most up-to-date, scientific and humane, dog-centered and proven methods for behavior change. In this seminar, we'll discuss leash reactivity, where it might come from, what it might feel like for your dog, and we'll get into what happens inside your dog's brain and body when a trigger is present and a reaction occurs. But first, what do we mean by reactivity? Typically, we'll use the word reactive to describe a dog who displays an over-the-top response to a normal stimulus, such as a person or dog walking down the street. It can be characterized by behaviors such as pulling, lunging, barking, and growling. It doesn't mean the dog is bad or disobedient. It simply means the dog may have a sensitive nervous system and struggles with being able to keep control when certain things come into their environment. Behavior can have many influences. Let's look at the legs model to understand the different areas that contribute to a dog's behavior. L is for learning. This speaks to the experience aspect. The dog's life experiences and education can contribute to their view on the world, their personality, and their gene expression. Most of us understand that a negative experience can cause trauma that later expresses itself through behavior change. But even neutral experiences can add a degree of wariness to a dog's outlook on the world and can come out in a reactive response. E stands for environment. A dog is likely to behave differently on a busy city street than they would on a walk through a quiet park. Environments are ever changing, and countless elements of each situation can influence your dog's behavior at any given moment. G is all about genetics. A dog's DNA plays a role in the behaviors we see. Breed characteristics are action patterns that have been selectively bred by humans for thousands of years. Genetic behaviors can also be passed down through specific bloodlines. A dog's parents may have had characteristics that include reactive type behaviors, and the puppy can follow suit. S refers to the self. Each dog is an individual. Factors such as a dog's age, development, their gender, and their overall health and wellness can contribute to behavior patterns that emerge. The self changes throughout life and can influence behavior in different ways. We'll often refer to fear and frustration as two of the major causes of reactive behavior. While we'll chat about these major influencers often, it's important to keep in mind that these are not the only causes of reactivity and are not exclusive. Referencing the legs model, we know that there are many contributing factors. Fear and frustration are important factors to dig into, though, since we see them so often with this particular behavior. Both boil down to big emotions and can manifest in similar ways. When we look at fear, sometimes it can seem difficult to identify it as such. After all, the behaviors we are seeing are lunging, barking, and all sorts of stuff that doesn't look fearful at all. What we need to understand, though, is the fight or flight response. When a fear-eliciting stimulus comes into the dog's environment, hormones are released, and the fight or flight response is triggered. Of course, being on a leash, the flight option is eliminated. All that is left is to put on an aggressive display in hopes it will keep everyone away and keep the dog safe. And it works great. No one wants to approach a dog who is lunging and barking at them. On a deep level, the behavior is reinforced as a solid strategy to keep scary stimuli away from the dog and makes it so that the dog is more likely to display the aggressive response the next time the stimulus comes into their environment. Dogs who build leash reactivity from frustration are often very social. Some will do well at the off leash park and want to be everyone's friend. They might be a bit over the top in these situations, though, and many will have a bit of a challenge with impulse control. The reactivity behaviors build when the dog becomes frustrated that they cannot go investigate or meet the other dog at the moment they notice them. Their arousal grows and their emotions take over, essentially resulting in a temper tantrum like display. It builds, and soon the mere sight of another dog brings out instant feelings of frustration. The two scenarios we just spoke of could fall into the larger category of stress. Seeing another dog, person, bicycle, and so on causes the dog to feel stress. Stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol are released, causing an immediate increase in heart rate, blood pressure, and respiration rate, all preparing the dog for action. The body's energy seems to shift. It appears to drain from the digestive system. And if you've ever tried to distract your dog with treats during a reaction, you might have noticed that they just aren't interested. The desire to eat has diminished in the face of the stressor. The energy also seems to drain from the cognitive side of the brain. You might have tried to call your dog's name or ask them to sit, and you likely would have had just as much luck cueing a pineapple. All of the energy moves into the dog's major muscle groups, making them strong and ready to jump into action to respond to the stressor. Under stress, the balance of the nervous system shifts, and the sympathetic system takes a stronger hold. This is the fight or flight response that we spoke of earlier. After the trigger situation is over, the parasympathetic system begins to come back. This is the rest and digest part of the nervous system. It takes time for the balance to be reestablished. Some dogs will recover fairly quickly, and others may take days. A useful analogy is to picture each dog as having a bucket. At the bottom of the bucket is a hole where water can drain out. When a stimulus comes into the dog's environment, it is akin to pouring a cup of water into the bucket. If many stressors enter the environment, the bucket fills quickly and doesn't have enough time to drain. Should the water level reach the top and overflow, the dog moves over threshold and reacts. When the bucket is consistently being filled with water, the dog doesn't get much of a break and is more and more likely to react to even mild triggers. Some triggers may be like putting a fire hose in the bucket, and others like a thimble of water. Some dogs may have a pinprick of a hole in the bucket, and others may have a large spout. If the dog's bucket is constantly being filled and they do not have the chance or ability to recover, we may see long-term consequences of chronic stress emerge, such as organ disease, digestive difficulties, and mood changes, even interference with learning and memory. We take a multifaceted approach to helping dogs progress forward through reactive behaviors. Desensitization has us working with each dog in situations where they remain under threshold. That is, they're not reacting. The trigger must be at a low enough intensity that the dog can experience it or elements of it and not react. Over time, we'll be able to slowly increase the intensity of the trigger as the dog builds up coping strategies and tolerance for the stimulus. Counterconditioning builds a new association with the trigger. Instead of meaning, this makes me angry, scared, or frustrated, we work to create a pairing that says, this makes me feel happy, or this makes me feel calm. Through repeated pairings of the trigger with something good, we can shift the emotional response. This works well in conjunction with desensitization, as when we are careful to not present the triggers too intensely, the dog's ability to learn is available. We use a variety of skills and cues to help each dog build a set of coping strategies for trigger situations. Think of how intense the emotions inside a reaction can be. They bring out feelings of a loss of control in the dog. They truly do not know what to do in the situation to make themselves feel better. Creating coping strategies helps dogs to regain that control. Adding skills such as the ability to disengage and refocus on their guardian, or redirect to grass sniffing, teach the dog to better moderate their arousal levels. There's a difficult question to contemplate as a dog guardian. Does this serve my dog? We all have a picture in our minds of what a dog should be like, what life with a dog should be like, the interactions we have, and the activities we do together. Let's think about the walk. This is something we all do with our dogs or aim to do. There's an expectation that all dogs go for leashed walks. But I ask you, how stressful are your walks? How stressful are they for you? How stressful are they for your dog? At this time in your dog's life, are leashed walks serving them? It's a tough question. You might find that your answer is maybe, or sometimes. Think about the elements of that leashed walk. Perhaps a better time of day would serve your dog, or a different location. If the walk doesn't serve your dog right now, that's okay. It's okay to stop putting them into stressful situations. Much can be done to offer your dog exercise, enrichment, and fulfillment when the leashed walk isn't the right option for them. One of the easiest ways to incorporate activity into life at home is to add fun and interest to mealtimes. Use puzzle bowls, snuffle mats, and scatter feeding to bring out your dog's natural foraging instincts. Stuffed Kongs and lick mats are perfect for dogs who are raw fed or who eat soft foods. Take your dog to a quiet location for a sniffari. This is a leisurely paced sniffing walk. Or set one up in your yard by providing novel objects, herbs, and scents. Playing with your dog is a wonderful way to bond and increase the connection between you. And of course, it's a great energy buster. Games such as tug and fetch are great choices, and a flirt pole is a great toy for dogs who love to chase. A flirt pole looks a bit like a fishing rod with a toy attached to the end that you can make dart around the space. If you have a dog that likes to dig, try building them a sandbox or digging pit in the yard. For a dog who likes to shred things, give them cardboard that's headed for the recycling bin, or a stick of celery to tear apart. Remember, you're looking for activities that do serve your dog. Anything that is essential for survival is a primary reinforcer. This means that food, for example, is automatically rewarding. As you move through your training program, you will be using a great deal of food in counter conditioning exercises and in building your dog's coping strategies. This being said, we do not want our dog's behavioral health to improve at the expense of their physical health. You may need to make adjustments to their regular portion sizes at meal times, or incorporate some of their regular food into your behavior modification practices. It's recommended that you weigh your dog or take photos and measurements and monitor along the way. The handout to the side is the Purina Body Condition System, and it's an excellent guide to ensuring your dog is of a good weight. When embarking on a behavior modification journey, it is essential to know what your dog finds motivating and rewarding. Do some research and provide your dog with choices to determine a list of their favorites. What are your dog's top 5 food rewards? This could include various fruits and veggies, deli meats, cheeses, commercial treats, eggs, and so on. What are your dog's favorite toys and games? Do they love squeaker toys? Tennis balls? Does your dog love to tug? What are your dog's favorite activities? Are they a sucker for belly rubs? Do they like to suntan? Do they love quiet hiking trails? Understanding the things that drive our dogs allows us to better choose reinforcers when working on difficult behavior change. Now let's dig into your dog's triggers. Understanding the details of these triggers allows us to better set up successful sessions. What are the different stimuli that bring out a reactive type response in your dog? Is it the sight of other dogs, people, vehicles, bicycles, recycling bins, plastic bags blowing in the wind? For each trigger, think about what observable behaviors your dog does when it comes into their environment. Do they pull towards it, lunge, growl, snarl, or snap? Do they whine or howl? How far away from the trigger is your dog when a reaction first occurs? Can they cope if the trigger is on the other side of the street, a block away, within sight? Is the trigger auditory? I would like to leave you with a quote that I truly love. Effective training is a partnership between you and your dog based on trust, love, and science. I love the word partnership here. It speaks to seeing our dogs for who they really are and accepting them. It encourages us to meet them where they are at and walk this path together with them as a team. This is my hope for you, that your connection to your dog will strengthen and that you will both move to a place of success together. If you have any questions about the content of this seminar or questions specific to your dog, please reach out to me by email at the address here. I thank you for investing this time in your dog, and I look forward to our training journey together.